welcome back to Daddy, Dad and Me. As you would have seen from our first video, I wanted our first official video to be the reasons why we went down the adoption process, and just to explain a little bit more so around that. You've probably seen me looking down because I have got a notebook. It's been several years in the making, so there might be some things I forget, and just so I can remember a few things. So just really to kind of kick off, we very first started the adoption process back, I think it was back July, August of 2018, and we really didn't know where to start. It really kind of started with the obligatory Google search, and James was aware of somebody who had been gone through the process, so they recommended one of the agencies to us. So they were kind of our first kind of pit stop, if you want to call it we submitted an interest form, and all that really is just saying we want to know more, come along to an information event. So we submitted that. We had a phone call, must have been about a few weeks later, and following that phone call, which was probably about an hour or so long, just going through kind of your backgrounds, kind of jobs that you do, what you're looking for, the reasons why you're going down the adoption process. We were invited to their London office to go for an interview, really. It wasn't meant to be a formal interview, it's just really to meet you in person, and for them to explain more so the process around what they need you to do. So went to their London office, obviously greeted very warmly, but we soon both felt, well, we're kind of one of those couples that can read each other just with a look, as some couples do, and we were in there probably a few hours or so, and we just felt the way the questions were worded, the terminology, etc. We just felt it was quite cold of them. That was just our own vibe that we got from it, and we both walked away from the meeting quite negative, I suppose. We thought, oh, that wasn't what we expected. So we left it about a month or so before then finding details of another agency, and we then went to one of their information events. Again, you have to submit your interest to it. They give you a call just so there's kind of nobody wasting each other's time. So we went along to their information event, and that was must have been around end of August, September time of 2018. So a month or so had gone by since we'd very first started. And yeah, we just went along to the information event. It was quite informal, kind of very PowerPoint slides, etc. I'd probably say there was about 8 or 9 other couples there, so quite busy, really. And yeah, one thing you'll find with adoption is that they will always give you kind of a worst case scenario, and it's there to give you a very realistic image of why children have been adopted, why they're in the care system, and it's not there to scare you. It's there to give you just the real cold hard facts around everything, and if the best were to happen, even better. So yeah, the information event, some of the things they were saying, we were like, oh gosh, didn't realise that or didn't understand that. But we walked away from it thinking, I want to know more and would be interested in submitting our registration of interest, or ROI as they call it. So what we had to do, let me just check my notes just to make sure. So yes, we felt very differently with how we felt with the first. Again, we were quite apprehensive going to the second agency, but it was quite quick in our impressions of them that we felt that they were just very different, very relaxed, and that they wanted to help us. We'll say with the other agency, we just felt that it was very regimented. We had to do this at this time, you couldn't do this, couldn't do that. Whereas we got a very different vibe there. So, yep, had a phone call with them after the information event about a week or so later, and they would send one of their social workers around to almost interview us, but this time it was at home. So again, very relaxed. The dog was around, which we were worried about because we thought he's going to put his head in your handbag or something like it. But that did happen a week or so later when they came to us. And yeah, it was about a few hours chat, I would say, not interview-like at all really, but it was just more so what had brought you to adoption, our backgrounds, kind of our upbringings, how we saw ourselves as parents. So just, yeah, like a mini chat about where you saw yourself, your reasons for doing what you were doing. Didn't feel nervous at all, and we were told by that social worker she couldn't see any concerns whatsoever. There are certain requirements you have to meet, so you have to be over 21, you have to have a spare bedroom for the child, or for every child that is adopted, and you've had to have been together for at least 3 years, and no, or I suppose you would speak about any life-limiting illnesses as such, because you have to make sure obviously you're around for the child. So she was all very positive about it, and it was about a week or so later we were sent in the post the official form. So it's a legal form in which you complete, and that's you saying we want to go with your agency. And so just because an agency have interviewed you doesn't mean that they have to accept you. We know unfortunately of quite a few adopters that have gone to various different agencies and haven't been accepted. So what I would say is if you have gone to one particular agency and they have given you some form of feedback as to the reasons why, don't be disheartened, go to another agency. They're all different, they all offer different things, although the outcome and the motives are the same. You'll find, and as we've found as we've gone through the process and talking and speaking with others, it's very different, the way different agencies operate, but that's just the nature of the beast. So yes, we had the ROI form. James and I obviously sat down for a few days or so just to make sure, obviously, because you're starting a process at that point. And yeah, we were just really keen to get things going. So submitted that, and probably wasn't until, I think it was a few weeks later, so obviously there's a lot of processing around certain documents as such, that we were told that we had been accepted by the agency that we were obviously had joined, and that they would be including us on their training onto stage 1, and that there were certain things within stage 1 that we had to do pretty quickly. We were sent, there'll be workbooks, references, medicals that have to be done and booked, and the social worker would be returning. It was the same social worker that interviewed us, and she would be returning in order to go through all that documentation with us. So that, in a nutshell, in a very quick nutshell, is more or less the reasons why we went through the adoption process. James and I were very, obviously we've been 7 years together this year, and we just felt there'd been kind of natural progression in our talks and discussions once we've been together. We have friends who have children, and it was just very much a natural pathway for us at some point, but there was no pressure in which to do it at a certain point in our lives. And so we've travelled very well. Some may see that we're quite fortunate in what we've been able to do, and say we're not getting any younger. And yeah, we've both just felt it was a natural thing for us to consider. And obviously some people say, again, one thing the adoption agency ask us is why not surrogacy, and it was never something that, so it was obviously a consideration for us, but it's not something that we saw ourselves doing. Obviously it's quite expensive with surrogacy, and there are certain concerns, personally speaking, I can see that would be raised as a result of surrogacy, and it just didn't feel the right option for us. And we knew that there are thousands, and there still are thousands of children that need their forever home. They're looking for a permanent family home, and that just sat right with us and has done ever since day one. So that is us. In my next video, I would like to speak about stage 1, more so around that, and stage 2. So they're both very different, but so yeah, you'll find out within that video what kind of happened for us, and what kind of differences there are to other agencies, and why we've did things the way we did them. So yes, please do subscribe, please follow the blog, and see you next time. Thank you.